Welcome to the video for XRMPM solution. So this video will just be a run through of the associated plugins to this solution. So it's going to be very quick. It doesn't really go into that much kind of basics. I just kind of wanted it to just be a real kind of run through of it, because I don't want the fact that a plugin is included in this solution for people to be put off by it. I did try my very hardest to do this out of the box. I did discuss this in my blog post in terms of some of the difficulties regarding the infinite loop with workflows, like a safety mechanism that Dynamics CRM has to prevent infinite loops, because essentially the days that anyone I didn't want to restrict it, and you can basically say that there's kind of 100 million days to a sprint, and I didn't want to put a restriction on that, and because that kind of number is unknown, technically CRM kind of considers it as an infinite loop if it goes over eight cycles. So I kind of then chose, okay, let's do this in a plugin. It is actually less than 100 lines of custom code, so kind of ignoring all the kind of fluff that the dev toolkit kind of puts in the kind of boring stuff at the top. It essentially really isn't that long, and you're more than welcome to use it. I've included in this as part of the resource pack as part of this solution, so please just take it. You're more than welcome to use it. This video was just a kind of a quick introduction into just kind of what it's registered on, and just a kind of a run through of actually what it does, so you can at least understand a few things, so kind of where you may need to change this if you're not using the same schema names and that sort of thing. It is commented, it's also got tracing on as well, and obviously if you've got any problems with it, just please give me a shout. I'm more than happy to help out. For those of you that haven't ever done a plugin before, essentially in Visual Studio, if you just start a new project and using the dev toolkit, which is in the SDK, so go and download that if you've not done that already, just start a new solution. And then it'll say connect to a server. So I'm using a free trial of CRM at the moment. So the free trials are normally on, she says, are normally on this server. And then you basically just put your details that you actually log in with. And then it will say which organisation do you want, and which solution do you want to put it in. It'll kind of whinge about Silverlight. We don't really care about Silverlight at the moment. It'll kind of do its thing and think about it. Let's just remove the workflow. Yep, that's fine. So essentially you've kind of got nothing at the moment. You've connected to CRM, this is awesome. And if you've got this far, well done. Open up your organisation and open up your entity list. This will literally load everything, and then we want this. This is going to be on the create of a sprint. So highlight sprint, do create plugin, and then this is basically where it'll say kind of like what you want to do. It's going to be on the create, which is what I just said, and we want it on the post operation. One of the reasons I put it on post op is because I want the sprint to actually be created, because the whole workflow is that the user enters the item in the dialog actually creates the sprint. I need all the information on the sprint, and then essentially and then the plugin gets called. So one of the things that like I said, I'm not kind of going to go into too much detail here, but I am using a post image to actually retrieve all the information rather than making separate calls. And so to do this, if you just click the three dots, and then it's basically you can select all if you want, or just select all the items that you actually need. A full list is in the plugin code. I'm not going to go through it now. Let's just do them all. You can actually rename this if you want to, and then do OK. So you'll actually see it's actually made your plugin here, and there's nothing to it. So where you've got the to do, essentially that's why you can basically just transplant the code from that text file that you've got in the resource pack and put it all here, and just remove all the fluff that's also in it, because I actually pasted the entire plugin. Don't kind of overwrite it, because it will mess around with class names and all kind of other stuff. So essentially you'll be able to just compare the two and then just paste the code that you need to here. I'll put line numbers in the blog to help you out there. And then yeah, that's basically it. In terms of deploying it, once you've built it, and then just deploy it, and then it'll basically then be in your CRM solution, and then you can test it and play around with it and make sure it works. So that's basically it in terms of the plugin. One of the other things that I just wanted to do was to just nip through the actual code. So in terms of what it does, so it just kind of sets a lot of variables and kind of setup here in terms of the context service and trace. And then this is what I meant about the post image. So basically, this is just me retrieving well, not me technically, the code. And I lost the ability to talk as well. This is just grabbing all the stuff from the post image and actually putting them into variables in the code. It's just in terms of the actual code. The code's purpose is to actually make those days. To make the infinite number of days that you don't actually know that the user's entered, and basically it iterates through them. And makes those days and technically and actually inputs the amount of all the calculations regarding the burn down rate, total capacity, etc. that's grabbed, and so you're left with a nice set of days related to the sprint. In terms of the target, which is technically the sprint because it's in the create of the sprint, the only reason we've got that in there, we're not doing anything to the sprint apart from updating it with the relationship. So all we're doing is putting all the days that we've created against, we don't know how many days have been selected, and then just associate it to the target, which is the sprint that we want to actually associate them to. So yeah, so that's it. That's just a bit of a rundown of what's happening. It uses the execute multiple because again, someone can I'd selected 20 in one of my use case videos, and that's like, that could be nothing. That's just 1 month. You could have a sprint that's going on for 4 months, and again, I don't want to put that kind of restrictions on it. So like I said, it's really not that big. I would recommend, if you're not familiar with plugins, just paste them in. If you use the same schema names that I've put in the documentation, you shouldn't have a problem. And then feel free to, if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to ask.